everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the Root Chakra conversations. So today we're going to talk about healing because yesterday we spoke about what the imbalances look like or how they could manifest or the diseases or physical ailments that can come with an imbalanced root chakra. So today we're going to talk about ways to help and heal the root chakra. And by healing, that's clearing any blockages that may be preventing more light from coming through. So, one way you could look at it is if your chakra is closed down. Remember the traumas I spoke about yesterday that could cause the root chakra to kind of close down, as a means of protecting itself and the rest of your chakra system from getting damaged. But, so today we're going to talk about healing. There are a number of ways to heal your root chakra. One, you can do it through meditation. You could simply sit in silence and visualize your chakra just glowing really bright red. You can imagine the red four-petal lotus flower and, really go into a deep visualization and do that often. That can help to heal the chakra. Again, yoga is another way to heal the root chakra by really focusing on postures that foster like strength and stability. So at that point, you're not really worried about as much flexibility because you want to work on things that create a nice base, a nice foundation for you. So just really strengthening postures and stability postures, balancing postures, because that's what's going to help you work on your stability. Another thing, let me go to my notes. One of my favorite things is foods. So I guess I could call it the food group or food type for the root chakra is protein. So, think of like your red meats, your chicken, fish, but what happens if you're vegetarian or you're vegan? So then you want to try and get more protein-rich sources, plant-based protein-rich sources. So it doesn't necessarily have to be any of the fake meats. You can look at stuff like pea protein because most of the fake meats they manufacture are created using pea protein because that's a really, really good source of protein. You can look at chickpeas. Black beans, tofu, seeds, nuts, and those types of things. And then you want to look at more red foods if you're also trying to incorporate like a color therapy in it, which also works, wearing red. But back to the foods, you have your watermelon, you have your pomegranates, which I love pomegranates, bean cherries, tomatoes, kidney beans, which aren't necessarily red like on the inside, but their skin is very red. Beets, really good. Hibiscus tea, cranberries, things like that. But here's a disclaimer. If you have an overactive or more open root chakra, you kind of want to stay away from like the red foods because that's just going to stimulate your chakra even more. And if you're trying to balance that chakra out by working on the other chakras, you don't want to open it more and then make more work for the other chakras to come into balance with that. So you just think about foods, and when you're looking at the meats, like the animal protein, try your best to get organic, grass-fed if you're going with beef, or free range if you're going with poultry. locally sourced if you can, because you want your foods to be more high vibrational, or as high vibrational as possible. Um, and then root vegetables. Root vegetables are really good. Like carrots, even though carrots aren't necessarily red, it's still a root vegetable. You think of, you're working on the root chakra, so you have your carrots, your turnips, again, your beets, any foods that are, grounding, that are grounded, or that are grown surrounded by soil. So you think of like potatoes, things that grow underneath the ground, so they have that real rich and deep connection with that grounding energy, that Mother Earth energy, because they actually grew within the earth. So I'm looking down at my notes, and some of the other ways to heal, by really working to claim those rights we were talking about the past couple of days. So your right to be, so your right to exist. This is your unique presence in the world. So the more that you claim that, like, I have the right to be here, no one can tell you anything else, because you belong. You belong. So the more that you continue to claim that, you can use affirmations for, those rights. And that's another way to heal, by using affirmations. But back to the rights. So just really claiming your right to be, your right to exist, your right to belong, to feel loved, to be a part of a group, to be a part of a tribe, your family, the right to feel safe. And as I spoke about yesterday, if you came from a situation that had been very traumatic, either in your early childhood or even in your adulthood, you have to make the right to feel safe a priority. So you have to do things to continue to make you feel safe. That doesn't mean you have to be anxious or paranoid or really kind of worried about your safety all the time. You really want to just put yourself in that mindset and make sure that you keep yourself in situations to where you are safe, and always put your safety first. You have the right to be stable. So that's another right that you should claim. So if you think about roots on a strong tree, or foundation of a home, those roots are strong, that foundation is strong, or else the structure, if we're looking at a house, will come collapsing down, or the tree will eventually blow down. So if you grew up with that, a lot of instability in your life, moving place to place, so you never really got a chance to connect with anyone on a deeper level, because you were always moving. So you were afraid to make friends, or you were afraid to do this or get too comfortable, because you were always moving. So then if you grew up in a situation like that, you making that a priority would be, you have your home, you make that your home, and you root yourself in that space. And then, by that way, you create a stable environment for yourself. And then, really claiming the right to have. So, again, you don't want to be so attached to things that you can't let go. So you don't want to be like a hoarder, or someone that's just greedy, trying to acquire a lot of things just to say that they have it. But you want to have your right to have. So you have the right to live the life that you've dreamed of. You have the right to have a stable home life. You have the right to have financial stability. That's really big. And you have the right to have the things that make you comfortable, that make you feel safe, that make you feel good. You don't have the right to take anything from anyone, but you have the right to have. And sometimes the trauma associated with the right to have that we might have experienced at a younger age is that, or shoot, it happens in adulthood too, where someone will make you feel as if you don't have that right to want what you want, to have what you want. So then you have to look at, are you allowing yourself that right to have, or are you making excuses as to why you can't have that? So you can use those things to work with. So remember yesterday I was talking about one of the imbalances of, especially of an underactive chakra, would be that flightiness, starting projects and not really finishing them. So in that case, if you have an underactive root and you find yourself always, doing stuff, or you're very spontaneous all the time, the way that you can heal that is through repetition. Create a routine for yourself that you can do daily, weekly, monthly, something that you stick with that helps you get into a routine, and you're just like, okay, I know I do this every day. And if it's not something that you do like every day, all day, because it doesn't have to be, but you can take small chunks out of your day, like I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes a day at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whenever I wake up, or right before bed. Just whatever kind of routine that you create for yourself would be really good at helping to heal the chakra, the root chakra. And then so other things. This is a big one. This is a really big one, especially in the day and age where we are always like on the go. Even though, the coronavirus took us in the house, so it doesn't seem like we are out doing everything all the time. So it kind of forced us to slow down, which is good, because that's almost like, tapping into our root chakra, because one of the best ways to heal the root chakra is rest. Because remember, I told you this is a dense energy. It's a slower moving energy. So rest helps to heal that chakra. If you're always tired all the time, if you are always doing stuff all the time, you don't allow yourself that, I don't even want to call it a luxury, because it shouldn't be a luxury. It should be a right. You have the right to rest, You don't have to be doing everything all the time, be everything for everybody. You have to take care of yourself. Relaxation, that brings it to another thing. Relaxation. Finding small ways to relax and release tension. You could just do little neck rolls here and there. You can light some candles, have an incense going, run yourself a nice bath, take a hot shower, play music and kind of tune the world out, read a book, watch, your favorite show or an entire series. We do that sometimes. Binge watch on Netflix. But allowing yourself to relax is another way of really healing that root chakra. And then when you look at your roots, like your familial roots, your the people in your bloodline. So just getting back to your roots. This relates to, your ancestors, and what do you do to help you feel closer to them? So, for instance, if you had a grandmother who passed, or, grandfather, parent, what do you do to feel closer to that person? Do you, journal and write a note? Do you talk to them through prayer? Do you meditate on them? Do you bring out a picture of them and to help you feel closer to them? Do you wear something that they gave you? Things like that. Or if you look at certain ancestries, like a lot of African Americans don't necessarily know their history, their ancestry, where they've come from, what practices their, family did before Christianity was kind of inundated on us. So maybe for someone who is, of African American descent would say, okay, well, what are the spiritual practices of the people who come from, and they can pick a region that they might feel drawn to, that might be close to where they came from. And they say, what are these spiritual practices? And maybe start to learn from there. Or you learn more about your family tree. You dig a little deeper. Those things that bring you closer to the people who are in your bloodline, that's your foundation, that's your root. So that also helps to heal the chakra. And it can be, if you do it right, it can be relaxing. It doesn't have to be like stressful, like I have to find this person, I have to find this person. But it's really about just kind of getting in touch with that part of yourself at a deeper level. And then, like I said, wearing red. I have versions of red on again today. So this is something you want to stay away from if your root chakra is overactive, though, because you don't want to, stimulate it even more. But if you have an underactive chakra, it's very good to help you stimulate. So you can wear red, you can eat red foods, you can drink red beverages, you can burn red candles. There's so much that you can do with the color red. You can use color therapy. You can stare at a red light, for a certain amount of time. You're like, okay, or a red piece of paper. Whatever helps you feel most stimulated by incorporating red, or is most easy for you by incorporating red. And then, like I spoke about earlier, creating a schedule or a routine and sticking to it. So a routine really kind of creates a sense of safety and relaxation, to the point where you know that every day at this time, this is what's going to happen. Every day at 8 a.m., I'm going to meditate for this amount of time. So you don't have to think about what's going to happen. You don't have to wonder what your day will bring. You know that at this point in this time, this is what's going to happen. And, maybe you try to create a routine that allows you to have some freedom. Maybe you do some days on, like maybe 3 days on a routine and 4 days off, or maybe you do the whole stretch of 7 days. But if you are really flighty, or you really have issues sticking to routines, then you might want to, try a certain number of days and then take some time off to rest, which, like I said, is another way of healing the root chakra. And another thing is like a ritual, like either being out in nature, lighting candles. Think about your altar. If you have an altar where you might keep all your spiritual things, if you're into candles, you're into crystals, you have your smudge sticks, you have everything. And if you created a ritual around that, like every day I wake up and I come to my altar and I bless it, or you have a picture of like a deceased family member, and that's how you give honor, give thanks to him or her. You just create some sort of spiritual ritual behind that. And then there's remembrance, because the root chakra is really a part of the physical realm. So the root chakra is like the time realm. So maybe you can do a memory game, remember a family member, maybe you remember a rough time in your life and appreciate the fact that you got through it. Maybe you look back and you remember, special moments with your mom or your dad or your significant other, or remember a time when you were a child. And that's another thing that helps to heal the root chakra, is that think back to stuff that made you happy as a child and do that. So, for instance, what helps me, one thing I loved as a child was to color. And I love coloring with color pencils, and, I could sit down and, color and relax, have the music going. And so I noticed that at times, as an adult, when I would have a really stressful day, I get out a coloring book, because that makes me feel good. That and word searches. Weird, I know. But I'll sit down with myself, for however long, just until it, relaxes me, makes me forget about anything that I'm stressed out about. But those things, connecting to your inner child, the things that make you happy. The other day or the other week, I just know that, a moment I was stressed, and then I felt like a kid. I was like, what would make me happy? Going to Baskin Robbins to get some mint chocolate chip ice cream, with a little bit of Rocky Road on a sugar cone. That'll make me feel happy, like when I was a little kid. Guess what? I did it. Guess what? I felt happy after that. I was good. And, that was my way of connecting with my inner child and doing something that would make her happy. And then you have responsibility. So take more responsibility for your actions. Don't always play the blame game, because when you are blaming others, it's almost like you're kind of giving your power away, in the sense of it's your fault, like you don't have control over your own actions. You can think back to a time when you were wrong, or you had a conflict with someone, and then how did you take responsibility for those actions? Or if you look back at the situation when you didn't take responsibility, how can you look back and say, maybe it was my fault because I did such and such and such and such, whatever. So when you use that and you practice being more responsible, I feel like it's more of that lead by example energy, like that fatherly type of energy, because remember, the root chakra is very it's masculine, so you want to be in that more powerful state. Not saying that women aren't powerful, because we very much are, but when you think about that, you know, you want to lead by example. Just think about it in that way. So be wary of making excuses for why something is going a certain way. Just learning to take more responsibility helps you really with your foundational energy in that root chakra. And just when you practice a little repetition, doing something that'll help you help your body kind of learn to do something better. Your body might master something. Maybe you're using your mind. Just creating something through repetition. One thing that's really good for me is journaling. So if you journal every day, you're creating, repetition, and that works so many different areas of what's going on. It helps you release emotion. It helps you get things out that you didn't know that might have been underlying in your subconscious, and that way you do that is through automatic writing. Meditating every day, that also creates repetition. So hopefully you're doing the meditations every day. That's a repetition for you. So that's also working on root chakra energy. And then kind of just being reliable. And in this sense, it's not really about showing others how reliable you are. It's about showing yourself how reliable you are. So as you continue to do things through repetition, or you are taking more responsibility for your actions, you show up for yourself. So, for instance, again, if you're doing the daily morning meditations, you're becoming reliable. Like, your body is expecting that, your mind is expecting that, and then you create. So if your body starts to say, "Ooh, like I need that," or your mind is like, "Ooh, I need that," it knows that it can rely on you to bring it. It's not where you're being inconsistent. So that's something else. Being consistent with what you're doing. And I guess that kind of falls into the whole creating a routine if you're very flighty or don't see things through. And other things. Just one of the easiest ways is grounding, or what they like to call earthing. Go out barefoot, walk onto the grass, onto the dirt, really connect with that earth energy. It feels so nice. I remember the first time I did it, I was like, first of all, I'm not about to get my feet dirty going to step on the grass and the dirt. And no, I'm not doing that. But then when I did it, it was just like the feeling that I had, the connection, especially if I went out there, if I was, very anxious, or I felt my energy just, it was just too much. I go out there, and generally for me, I would go ground or earth on the grass underneath a tree. And I'd stand there for a moment, looking at the sky, feeling the breeze, or sometimes I would just get a blanket, sit on the ground, but have my feet on the earth itself, so on the grass itself, and I would just close my eyes and meditate. So those are really good things. And it doesn't always have to be grass or dirt. It could be sand. You could be, at the beach, allowing some stuff, the ocean water to hit you. Just any way that you're connecting with the earth. Hiking is really good. Going out for a walk. So if you're experiencing some of that the root chakra imbalance, which is making you more lazy than it is active, then get up and go for a walk. And that could be a routine that you create for yourself. Like, today I'm going to get up and go for a walk. Your body's going to love it because you're getting your body moving. And so as your body is moving and you're walking through, you're now physically connecting with your body. You're physically there, walking around on the earth. So you're really, I won't say that you're grounding at that point, but you're really working on that root chakra energy. And then finally, I will say, okay, two more things. So one, remember I told you that root chakra is really connected to sense of smell. So another root chakra activator, or if you want to just liven it up, wake it up some, is really focus on smells, like things that make you happy, that smell really good. Like I said, cinnamon sticks are really good to burn, incense, smell good candles, foods that remind you of home, or foods that remind you of a time in your life when you were really happy, foods that remind you of when you were little growing up, that put you in that space of happiness. So like, even if you had a traumatic childhood, hopefully there was a point in time where you felt like, oh, this is my safe space, and a smell might remind you of that. So connect with those things, things that make you think of family. So right now, while we might be separated from, our extended family because of the COVID, think about smells that remind you of that connecting. Like if it's certain foods that you would have at a family reunion, or if you went out with friends and it's like, oh man, I remember when we got, really, if you're ordering out, if you cook it yourself, or if you could just get that scent in a bottle with, doing some sort of aromatherapy with essential oils or anything. So just really, really think of smells. And then if you're into crystals, look at more grounding crystals. Hematite is a big one. And speaking of hematite, I have a big chunk of hematite. And the funny thing is, I got this when I was 8 or 9, before I really knew what it was. I just remember being really attracted to it, and I bought it, and I was like, oh, I loved it. So crazy that I still have it. So as I grew up and I really kind of got into crystals and understanding them, then I was like, whoa, I had this huge chunk of hematite. And you see, it's pretty big. It's like the size of the palm of my hand. But hematite is a really, really good grounding crystal. Here's some other ones. Smoky quartz. Smoky quartz is good for grounding, but it's also a good protection crystal. This is a jasper. This is brown jasper. You think of things that are just really kind of earthy. Emeralds, things, think browns, greens, dark colors. But hematite is really, really good for grounding. There are some red crystals that you could use for grounding. I think that garnet might be one of them, but I'm not 100% positive, so I won't speak of that. But I do know for a fact, hematite, those smoky quartz, brown jasper, green jasper, any of the, and I have a green jasper here too, but any of the jasper stones, because those aren't necessarily crystals, but any of those stones are really, really good for grounding. And how would you use crystals? If you've never used them before, you can easily put one under your pillow, sleep with it. You can hold it in your hand while you sleep, just try not to drop it. You can hold it in your hand while you meditate. You can keep them in your pocket, as you're out and about doing your business. You can buy jewelry that has that stone in it, like a ring or a necklace, and wear that all the time. There are a lot of ways to use crystals and stones that have that really, really good grounding energy. So I think that is all for today. We talked a lot about healing. This was probably the longest video of all of them. But hopefully you're watching each and every one so that you get more and more information as we spoke about what the chakras are, what the properties of the root chakra are, what imbalances look like, and how to heal it. And as you start to heal, what you will notice is that some of the signs of a healthy root chakra are you actually feel good in your body, like you feel a part of it, you feel present in your body, you feel free of pain, you don't have many health issues because what do you call it, like repeated health issues are a strong root chakra imbalance. So you're healthy, you feel good in your body, your finances are good. These things are good indications that your root chakra is healthy and balanced. You have stability in your life, and your mind is working in such a way where you're not anxious, you're not overly fearful. But tomorrow, since I brought up fear, tomorrow we'll talk about the what I want to call them, the demons or the shadow side of the root chakra, or what these different things that are like, if you go too much into this feeling or into this element, these are the things that are gonna kind of weaken your root. So, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. So hopefully you got a lot out of this video, and talk to you tomorrow. Peace.